are the times of the times.
Welcome. Living with Reality, Truth, and Consequences. With your host, M. Backham. It's been a little while before I was before you. A whole lot has been going on. Cloven and Piven. Cloven and Piven. Strategy of just putting just a whole lot of stuff out on the table and just keeping the population confused, keeping us confused. Um, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. With the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I dedicate this podcast, Living with Reality, Truth, and Consequences, to my children and to future listeners, to current listeners. Sort of what they call a living statement, living testimony that will go on long after, should I say, after this fleshly body has left the scene. Sisters and brothers, we are in a country now that we really don't know who's running the country. The masses don't know who's running the country. There are those who do know. There are those of us who have a pretty good idea. And the scriptures say that my people perish for lack of knowledge. And the following that scripture up is, for they reject knowledge. So when someone comes to you with information, knowledge, you are to do your research. You're to look into it. You are to look into it. Do your research. Make it right in your mind. Not just taking my word for it, or anyone else's word for it. Prove it for yourself. There's many resources that we can go and redo our own research. You must do your own research. It's like there's a statement I like to use is, to lead the horse to the water, lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink. I can even put the water in your mouth, but I can't make you swallow it. Well, by force and that kind of thing, and that might even kill you. You can drown in a teaspoon of water. I wouldn't want you to drown in a teaspoon of knowledge.
It moves.
Neil
Well, take your time. Describe what happened. Describe what happened with Galileo for those that don't know.
So Galileo was imprisoned by the Catholic Church for saying that the earth moved around the sun. Galileo was threatened with burning at the stake. When I hear Neil deGrasse Tyson say the individual scientist doesn't matter, I think that Neil deGrasse Tyson is the kind of tyrant who would have put Galileo at the stake and burned him. That is what I hear when Neil deGrasse Tyson says the individual scientist doesn't matter. The individual scientist does matter. The individual matters so much. But
he discredits himself. He's an individual scientist.
And
why don't we listen to you?
Yeah, exactly.
Where does it start? Where the individuals make up the collective. Sorry.
And Ken, how did they carry that out? What did John Coffin at PNAS in the National Academies of Science, who reviewed our 2009 science paper and then destroyed it and turned it into... What did he say he was going to do to me? He said her faithful followers will canonize her, and the scientists, the consensus, will burn her at the stake.
Wow, they said that about you.
Yep.
So they even know they're literally
using
an inquisition.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
they literally called you a witch.
It's in our first book.
Yeah.
You can't make this up.
She's Joan of Arc. And so
you have to knock, let the door be open. You have to ask, and so that you may receive, You have to seek, and you will find. Living with reality, truth, and consequences. It's a heck of a title. Reality is a heck of a thing. Nature is one of my resources that I resort to when I'm uh, contemplating or in a situation where, making a decision this way and that way about the humanity, our humanity. And I look at nature, and I say, that's not fair. Well, life is not fair in that way. The poor little deer, baby deer, the fawn that gets grabbed and eaten up by a lion, a tiger, hyena, and it's horrible. It is horrible. Situation after situation, it can be blissful and wonderful, and things can be traumatic and horrible. But back to saying that we're living in this country that we really don't know who's running the show. Um, we're in a country where that the powers that be, the so-called quote unquote government, um, is invading our own country, which I consider treasonous, with illegals from all around the world. It started out as a trickle, and then these current president Biden, he told the world that once he's president, just flood the borders, and that's what has happened. So now this country has no border. But the lies and the deception is it is so clear to see, and so that leads those who seek to cull the population. That means to kill, to eliminate us, the masses of us, up to 6, 7 billion people. Within the next 5 to 10 years, inside that time period. But it gives them reason to say that, well, we're so dumb and stupid that we just deserve to die. I mean, we have people in front of us telling us that they want to kill us, that they're going to kill us, to tell us that they are killing us, and we just go along like la di da di dee, la di da di day, and like everything is, I don't know. Well, not like everything is all right, because we know that it's not all right, but we still just go on and pretend that we're gonna be all right. Taxation without representation. Not only is this going on, they're killing us, but we're paying for them to kill us. We're subsidizing our own demise. I think the latest figure is like over 400 something $billion is being spent to take care of illegal um, people, um, criminals who have crossed our borders, the U.S. border illegally. So that makes them a criminal, you know. But we have a president who says that the number one threat to America is those who question the elections, those who, well, any narrative that the government puts out, if the people speak against it, then they're considered a domestic terrorist. The Catholic Church is considered terrorist. If you are a Trump supporter, you are a domestic terrorist. They use the term right wing um, right wing something. But anyway, anybody who does not agree with the Democratic narrative, well, I don't even want to call it a Democratic narrative anymore. That's a misnomer now, because we come to realize that they call it a uniparty. The Democrats and the Republicans, they're the same. This could not go on. This treasonous activity could not go on were it not the Republican so-called party was complicit. You know, they're going right along with it and helping it along. Why? Why are they? That's it's a good question that deserves a good answer. You know, so the answer that I've come up with is that, well, they're either being bribed, compromised, and or paid off. I guess all that kind of means the same thing. You know, paid off, bribed, threatened. Okay, that's the difference now. Lives are threatened. People have been murdered now for contesting and exposing certain facts and elements that the criminal government, the criminal aspect. How do you say it? The government, shadow government, because the people who are running this country are not the ones that we basically elected. They're just there to what can I say, to give the illusion, like our senators and all that kind of stuff, and congresspersons and whatnot. You know, they're not representing the people. They're not representing me, and they're not representing you. Not with our borders. That's the number one job of the president, is to make sure that the American people are secure. So that's not happening.
Whatever political party you identify with, you are welcome here. Whatever color, culture, or creed you identify with, you are welcome here. If you are vaccinated or unvaccinated, you are welcome here. Now look around. Look around at these faces in this crowd. Take a good look around. This is America the Beautiful. And it's worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Your children are worth fighting for. Our freedom is worth fighting for. My name is Mickey Willis. I'm a father, a husband, and an investigative filmmaker. I was raised in California by a single mom who did her best to care for 4 children on her own. As a child of the welfare state, I witnessed firsthand what happens to the psyche and spirit of those who become dependent on government assistance. Had my mother known the difference between a hand up and a handout, she may have avoided the trap that kept us living on the edge of poverty, like so many people are today. Living in fear of losing her welfare assistance, Mom remained single and lonely until the day she passed, at 58 years young. Her life was cut short by a combination of toxic cancer treatments and grief. Just 34 days before she passed, her first son, my brother, was killed by a drug called AZT. Hundreds of thousands of innocent people died as a result of that prescribed poison. The pusher of AZT was none other than Dr. Anthony Fauci.
The reason that only one drug has been made available, AZT, because it's the only drug that has been shown to be safe and effective.
Well, it's certainly nice to know that the future looks brighter.
30 years later, there he was again. Same script. Same actors, same performance.
These are safe and effective products.
Knowing what that man had done in the 80s and 90s, I couldn't believe he was still in a position of such power. As the world descended into synchronized tyranny, I began to ask myself, how did they get everyone to go along with this?
Great. Oh, it feels so good. I know.
Obsessed with finding the answer, I began studying every moment in recorded history where masses of people devolved into a state of self-destruction. Down that rabbit hole was where I discovered the work of G. Edward Griffin.
Gentlemen, again let me say welcome to our home.
I don't want to belabor on that point, but those points are very important. So do your research. You know, would you have a Homeland Security or whatever his name, Mayorkas, this guy, who constantly told us over the last 2-3 years that the border is secure. The border is secure. The border is not open. Just lied to our face. And there's a saying that that comes out of the church a lot is that, you know, the devil is a lie. And Tucker Carlson, he did a speech where he did an analogy of a boy who got into the cookie jar, you know, and took the cookie, and was questioned by his mother, whatnot, and you know, did you eat the cookie? Why did you eat the cookies? And the boy, you know, with just a straight face, you know, I didn't eat the cookies. So I didn't eat the cookies. Just resolute, you know. And she said, I know you ate the cookie. The cookies are gone. And the little boy looks up and he says, you ate the cookie. And then the parent went to just saying, dang, well, did I eat the cookie? Was I sleep? Well, that's the situation. That's kind of like where we're at here. You know, we're looking at a lie right in our face. And we're just, I don't know, paralyzed by it. Well, prayerfully that we get unparalyzed and I can do something to help. I want my children to have children, and I want their children to have children, and to enjoy the life that I've been able to enjoy. You know, I've had my ups and downs, my goods and bads, and you know, in life. But still, it has been a life that's worth living. Well, what the Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, Tedros, Haval Nuari, Barack Obama, what they have in store for us is not a life that's worth living. What they have in store for us is death. I remember Barack Obama making a statement in a speech saying that he wanted to fundamentally change America. That struck me a little bit odd. What do you mean fundamentally change America? This is the America that is about to elect you president. So what change was he referring to? And another query statement that he made that really struck me, stayed with me, was he says he wanted to develop a domestic force, military force that is as well equipped as the regular military, just as well funded as the regular military, a domestic force. And I said, a domestic force for what? Well, now we have your Antifa, who burned down the cities a couple years ago and just destroyed the morality of our country, joined hands with this manufactured group called Black Lives Matter. And it made it a crime, dang near, if you would say that all lives matter. No, Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter was a group that in their platform that there was to destroy the black man, destroy the nuclear, the family, with a communist manifesto, with admitted professed communists.
Down that rabbit hole was where I discovered the work of G. Edward Griffin.
Gentlemen, again let me say welcome to our home.
Since the 1960s, Mr. Griffin has been warning the world of the communist plot to overtake America. Yes, I know, communism.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
That thing we've all been told fell with the Berlin Wall.
How do you measure such an astonishing moment in history?
It was Napoleon who said, "History is a lie agreed upon." Ironically, there's no evidence that Napoleon ever said that. As we're about to discover together, much of our history has been rewritten to serve an agenda that up until recently was invisible to the average person. Average, like this guy. Everyone's talking about the necessity for change right now, particularly here in the U.S. Over the past few months, as a filmmaker, I've had the honor of documenting the political revolution. That was me in 2016, the year of my political awakening.
Come on board the political revolution.
I was touring with the Bernie Sanders campaign, creating media to help his grassroots movement grow. At that time, I knew very little about socialism and even less about democratic socialism. As it turned out, I wasn't the only one.
So my Bernie bros, how do we redistribute wealth through taxation without expanding the powers of the federal government?
Bernie Sanders!
As confusion set in, I began turning my questions inward. Are they hypnotized? Am I hypnotized? That question, that one simple question, activated some strange sort of faith healing. Suddenly, I could see. How did I not see this before? There were so many red flags.
The only solution is communist revolution. The only solution is communist revolution. The only solution is communist revolution. That's why we need communism. That's what we need.
Jim Carrey, everyone.
I went out today and bought me some freedom-friendly Nikes.
Yeah, that's right.
As a salute to Colin Kaepernick, to Nike, congratulations on your fantastic choice. Thank you so much.
Well,
it's good to be back in
great to
dystopian America.
The Republicans are running with the word socialism. They're trying to say...
They're trying to scare people. It's communism. It's
Venezuela, Trump says. We're going to be living in Venezuela.
I grew up in Canada. I'm here to tell you that this bullshit line that you get on all of the political shows from people is that it's a failure. The system is a failure in Canada. It is not a failure in Canada. I never waited for anything in my life. I chose my own doctors. My mother never paid for a prescription. It was fantastic. And I just got back from Vancouver, and I keep hearing this, like, Canadians are so nice. Canadians are so nice. They can be nice because they have health care. Because they have a government that cares about them.
In Canada, the authorities say it's now a state of emergency. Riot gears run through Canada's capital.
Today, police in Ottawa used batons and pepper spray.
Just trembled on me. But you did your heart!
Medical wait times in this country are longer than ever.
The cost of living just keeps climbing.
There's a socialist coup unfolding in Canada, and we taxpayers are funding it.
In the recent years, a lot of Canadians have been watching their once well-regarded country become what some are even calling tyrannical.
A country previously hailed as the most free and democratic in the world.
The destruction of our lifestyles, the demoralization of our culture. What culture is that? The American culture is a culture that we can get in our own automobile and we can go across town, we can go across the city, across state, across the country, and go visit who we want to go visit, go do what we want to go do. In general, that is an aspect of the American culture. Well, that aspect of the American culture, well, the powers that be, they don't want you to be able to do that. So they are implementing, demanding that you buy an electric vehicle. They are banning gas-operated stoves, gas-operated heaters, lawnmowers, you name it. Yes, they are banning him in certain parts of the country. They're already putting bans on it and stuff, but it is a ban. It's going to be a total thing, you know, just like the frog in the water. They do just a little bit, little bit, little bit at a time, you know. And you just saying, well, you know, nothing I can do about it. Okay. Well, on the federal level, there isn't nothing we can do about it because we have the criminals actually running the federal government. That's a heck of a thing. And there's no way in my mind that I envisioned this situation. There was no way in my mind that Joe Biden would be elected president. A man who ran a campaign from the basement because he could not communicate to people. And when he did come out of the basement, he had maybe 20 people at his rallies. 30, 40 maybe. Half of them were press and his own staff, you know. I'm like, whoa, man, what is this? But now they seek to make it illegal for us to question an election result. When the Democrats question every election that they've ever lost, just do your research. I mean, and we don't have to go back far. You can start with the latest one. You know, Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. That's what Hillary Clinton said. They all said that. All of them said that. And they all worked diligently to make his presidency unsuccessful. We are under like I said, under the federal level, there's nothing that we can do. So at this point, unless we have a change in the administrations at the top, because the FBI, the distraction of propaganda, race, creed, color, religion, the FBI, CIA, ADL, Department of Defense, DOD, DOJ, Department of Justice, Southern Law Center. These are I call them the motivators of anarchy. Yes, if they got Hegelian dialectic or something, they call it something like that, where they create the problem and then they come along with the solution. See, they already got the solution of what they wanted, so they create a problem so that they can bring in their solution. We're under a scientific tyranny here, a scientific technological tyranny, which was warned about, which President Eisenhower warned about in his farewell address. Do some research. Go listen to it. Go listen to President Kennedy, his speech about these secret organizations. And Eisenhower warning us about the defense industrial complex and the technological industrial complex, the scientific complex as well. We were warned. But a lot of us can't believe it. We don't want to believe it. And, I really don't want to believe it either. But not wanting to submit to reality Well, just go on and walk out in there in front of that truck and see if it'll hurt. I mean, put your hand on the fire then, if we want to just deny reality, not submit to reality.
National anthem, and welcome to the stage, Grammy Award-winning artist, Victory Boyd.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the home of the I said the land of the free and the home of the brave. I said the land of the free and the home of the brave. Ha ha.
Dance with me. All the time.